welcome, Fablers, to the first show of 2021. It's very fitting that it is, of course, the flagship show. This is, of course, Fawks Talks, the only show on the Fable 42 Network devoted to all the other shows on the Fable 42 Network, where we build community through friendship, gaming, and chaos. I'm your host, Ronan Fawks. With me, as always, is Cody. Say hello, Cody.
Hello, everybody.
And of course, Mr. Chris Solo. Say hello, Chris.
Oh, he said hi to me. Hi.
I did. It's a new. It's a new year. It's
a new
me.
I like it. Yes, I am here in the dark shadows.
Perfect. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. This is basically where we take a factual look back at all this week's campaigns and then put a Fox twist on all the choices that were made. Tonight we sit down with our guests, Dianne with 2 N's Hall and Taryn with 1 N Hackett. So looking ahead to tonight's Vault 42, we learn what it's like to be a farmhand for a psychopath. On Legends of Shawgal, we will see the group fight for the rights of an abandoned unfun hole. And lastly, on Realms of Vukador, we will watch our friends put a pause on avoiding their emotions to deal with the more immediate threat of becoming charcoal. But before we get into all that, let's do some sponsors and announcements. So first up is Griffin Co. So everything that you see on all those campaigns that is 3D printed is brought to you by Griffin Co. And then at least for the campaign side of things, we are sponsored by Vorpal Board. So all of the digital audio displays, digital dice, player indicators, all of that stuff is Vorpal powered. So shout out to them. As far as other mentions go, again, we are on Patreon, so we do have that. So if you want to see how to support us, you can check out the Discord or down below where the links that are in chat now, and to see what all the benefits you can get for that. Primarily, it's access to information and additional stuff from all the shows, homebrew content, that sort of stuff, as well as in the future here, very shortly, a couple new shows. So there's that. And then there's also Ko-Fi. So if you want to figure out how to support us through that, you can check it out down below. And all of our stuff, including this show, is on demand. It's available on Twitch, but we do or would prefer you guys to go check out YouTube. So it'll be on there, I think, 2 days after. And then, you can do all the YouTube things like subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And I do believe we are I think we're caught up on most shows for podcasts. I know we got Vault, I know we got Realms and Legends, and I know Chris is working on the other ones. So those will be up in podcast form now or very soon. I think that's it. So with that, I still have no idea what I'm doing, and you have nothing better to do. So let's start some Fox Talks. Cody, hit me with that intro.
Copy that.
We're back, aren't we?
We are.
I hear coming back in, and it's already back. All right, cool. Okay, so welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody had a great holiday. Ready for 2021. I know we're going to talk about this a little bit, but we'll go ahead. I know I just saw Ben asking in chat where are all the podcasts located, Chris? Cool.
He might be muted. It was Spotify and iPodcast.
Yeah, I was talking and I thought I was unmuted. Yeah, we're on Spotify and iPodcast and a lot of the other major ones.
Okay, cool. So there's that. And I know it's Vault, Legends, and Realms with the others in the works. That was correct, right?
Correct. Yes, we're waiting for artwork for some of the other shows before we put them up. So Rollout will go out next. And then we're going to do Fox Talk art, Wizard art, and the other arts. Right, so yeah, so they'll all come soon, very soon.
Cool. So I guess the stuff that we've missed during Dark Week. There was a couple things on the tail end of Dark Week that we didn't get to talk about. I know Vampires was there, so that was a big deal. You were in that, so go ahead and talk about a little bit about that.
Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade. It was DM'd by the very awesome Ben Watkins, who is Mountain Taker in Discord and Twitch. We had a pretty awesome cast. We had April and Utahime, Dianne and Taryn, and myself and Eddie. And it was a very it was a lot more tame than the session 0, which
is saying something.
Which is saying something.
Yeah.
But no, it was a really fun experience, and we got to do a lot of really cool things, and kind of just doing something a little different, right? Because we usually do D&D stuff, so it was fun to do a non D&D type of game.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was definitely just a splash of unique, right? And then it was targeted for an older audience. I'll just put it to you that way. It wasn't super over the top, but there were some elements there that were different from the D&D stuff. Yeah. Okay, cool. And then we did prom on the 27th. Now that is something we'll skirt about around talking about, because that won't I guess the first question would be, when is that coming out?
That's coming out, and how it comes out, I think, is not. We're not entirely nailed down on that yet, but there's going to be 3 episodes of prom. So we essentially, on that Sunday, we recorded for 16 hours, and we have enough content to fill 3 feature films. So we are going to break prom up into 3 parts. There's a lot of amazing role play, and the Wizard show that you're going to see tonight is about a week after prom. So, but you'll not see that content until the week after Wizards finishes. So that Valentine's Day weekend is when it's going to go out, and it'll all go out at the same time. Most likely, and then where it goes, I don't know that yet, but probably Patreon, maybe, or it might go out to the world. I don't know yet.
It was super fun to do. It was a long day, but it was a fun day. I did makeup, just FYI, a little spoiler alert, and after about 10 hours of contacts in that starts to suck. So don't envy any of the people that do that on the regular.
Yeah, there was some great costumes, great makeup, great role play. It was a really fun thing.
It was amazing. And I just also made in chat, shout out to Campbell's one-shot miniseries for the community. Yes. So that was really cool. He did that for anybody that wanted to join could join up into his campaign that he ran over Dark Week, which was super dope. And I don't know what else. What did you guys do? Cody, what did you do over break?
We actually got a new puppy for Christmas. So there's been my 3.5-year-old trying to keep his hands off of the puppy, and
Did you make a saddle for it yet?
No, not yet. She's a mini Aussie, so it'll be a while.
Did you have any problems with the? Do you guys do a Christmas tree? Like, did the puppy get into any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, just a little bit. Eating the tinsel and stuff. But
yeah, my cat. Like, we have these like tinsel trees that we put like on the side of our fireplace, and my cat just like constantly ate it until it made itself sick and then went back, and it was just a constant. I don't know why. I read on there that you could spray like lemon juice or some shit on there, so I think I'm gonna do that next year. But
you spray lemon juice on your cat?
No, on the tree. It's like peppermint, lemon juice. It's a mixture. But then like I read it and I'm like, I don't want to. That sounds like it's gonna stink my house up. Like, that's why I didn't do it. So
I'm gonna have to write myself a note and put it in the Christmas tree bag because I'll forget by next year.
You need to write yourself a note so you don't spray your cat with lemon juice, or
this is true.
It's fair. Do watch out for eyes. But anyway, yeah. So I had a big break overall. I actually am like now having kind of a crappy time. So after Wizards, like Monday morning, woke up with like blah, and been dealing with that all week. So went and did the old COVID test. That was on Thursday. Yeah, yesterday. That was yesterday. So I'm going to wait the results on that. So send your thoughts. Not that I think it'll help, but just because I love the attention. So there's that.
Did you manage to get your refrigerator running?
I did. No, it broke again. We fixed it. It broke again. I said to hell with it and went and bought a new one. So there was that. So we did have an actual Christmas dinner though this year. So,
that's good. That's good.
Yeah, it wasn't a weird Bob Evans thing that Thanksgiving was. So. All right. Well, anyway, so
yeah, my break was great. Thanks for asking.
I thought I talked to you about that.
No, you didn't. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I really
Traveled though, didn't you? You traveled, right?
I traveled for just a short time, and it was probably it was an amazing time. But
That's what I
most
was gonna say,
of
you
my
said.
break was just editing podcasts and things and doing things for the network. And
That's
I'm
true.
only teasing.
Like we were. I think everybody, all the producers and everything, were like really gung ho. We're like, oh, dark week, no work, and like I know I had like 2 meetings, two impromptu meetings at some point, and like just a bunch of random shit.
Yeah,
So
I think Chris did enough editing and working.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But we got to hang out. We did some Among Us and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool.
Fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, that was cool. Getting stabbed by you. Yep.
Yep. You shouted my name too, and it didn't help. Anyway, okay, so moving on. So tonight we got a wizard sort of / Legends of Shoggoth focus. We have our guests, Dianne Hall, who is the DM for Legends of Shoggoth, of course, and who plays Anna on Wizards. And then we have Taryn Hackett, who plays Jinx on Legends and Rook on Wizards. So as we all know, the Fable 42 campaigns are all about the choices that were made. So let's start the run and recap and see how they did. Okay, so first up is going to be Vault 42, and we are on episode 6, The Truth About Harry. Okay, been saying it for a while now. All right, anyway. All right, so yeah, I'm going to get there. All right, so we start off the show basically proving me wrong. All right, so they actually start off by farming, which I claimed that they wouldn't do last episode. So, fuck me, I guess, whatever. After finishing off the last of the mole rats, they set about the work at hand. They harvest the crops, right? Clay and Petra start on the razor grain. Clay harvesting and Petra dreaming of hoeing around and getting a solid plow. Ash starts in on the carrots. She doesn't have a ton of issues handling the, and I quote, extra long, thick carrots. And Marcus struggles with the melons, which, let's face it, it's probably his first time in that department. And Tipper manages to turn the only one pumpkin into squash. So overall, pretty good. They're able to collect most of the bounty. They wash off the blood and bits and take their haul to Hannah for inspection. As they return the produce, they see Hannah cleaning her gun, or as she probably calls it, the divorce papers. And then they tell her about the mole rats, including the mama, which she says can be vicious and mean. Clay seems super familiar with the wicked mother type. But overall, Hannah doesn't really seem to care that they had an issue with the beast. Basically looking at him like, did you die though? Give me my damn food. And the group is rewarded for their efforts with some razor grain mush, which looks like baby food and tastes like morning breath. Hannah then tells the group about Mr. Handy, which sounds really exciting and intriguing and fun, but turns out it just lends a hand. So that misunderstanding was on me. Ash, of course, storms off because, God forbid, she be around the sight of metal, which makes it all the more hilarious when you consider she's been huddled up with one for the past few nights. Bless her stupid little heart. Anyway, after this, Hannah gives the group an option to take a package back to Hub City for more caps, and she then offers them some more carrot tea, which turns out to be a real thing, but makes it no less gross. And the rest of the group finishes their meal before starting back towards the barn. But not before Petra eyes the seller as she seems suspicious of Hannah. And I don't blame her. That woman is shady as fuck. All right, we're going to get to that in a second. Tipper hangs back, once again showing interest in the bot and asks if she can help with it or around the house. She also asks how Rita acquired it. And there's never really an answer, as Hannah turns the conversation to her worry about Rita in the big city around drugs and such. But ironically, what she should have been more worried about is people like Petra. Tipper then tries to lie about eating some of Hannah's food, and somehow, despite the obvious deception, Hannah buys it. And I'm starting to feel like this world is just full of the same people that didn't realize Superman and Clark Kent were the same damn person. Upon leaving, Tipper mimics the ash hole and flips Hannah the bird, which seems disrespectful. Until you realize that is Ash's native way of acknowledging one's existence. It's actually a sign of great respect among angry, hate-filled individuals. At the barn, Ash is pacing back and forth, clenching her fists, very similar to my own therapy before I discovered self-medication. And Clay approaches for a word and then reaches a hand out. But like with his mother, she recoils at his attempts. But he manages to gingerly offer to bandage her now bleeding hand. Ash allows it and even says thank you, which is a big step towards growth. I mean, it's not exactly Mr. Darcy yet, but we're getting there. Clay then uses that same scarf to set up a resting area, which is gross, yeah, but fits in with his interest in Petra. Speaking of Petra, she really wants to know what's in Hannah's basement. Again, this is some rational thinking, right? This woman is definitely hiding something. Do we even know Hannah's last name? Is it Dahmer, right? I mean, it's not that far-fetched. April did base the entire first village on the show of Dexter. She's either got a stack of bodies in there or a pet ghoul that serves a very different type of Mr. Handy service, if you know what I'm saying. Once Tipper arrives, she then also shows interest in the cellar, which I believe may be her first accurate human-like intuition. And so the debate is on, right? Marcus, of course, poo-poos the idea. He's like the kid in school that would guilt trip any fellow students that wanted to skip the last day before summer break. And it makes me wonder if he used radiated water to create his wet blanket. Clay sides with Marcus because he doesn't want to lose out on the job by risking a peek, which I feel like is symbolism for why his and Petra's relationship is going to ultimately fail. You know what's weird, though? That they didn't actually debate on just killing her and then staking the house as like their own, right? But to each their own, I guess. Sounds cruel, but let's not forget that Tipper's already disabled 2 turrets on this woman's house, so it's only a matter of time before nature beats him to the punch. In the end, the stance is essentially Clay feels inclined to let her live because of his mother, and Marcus wants to keep Hannah safe because he's a self-righteous square. After the debate turns heated, though, Ash lashes out at the group's bickering, which was amazing, screaming at them, causing them to freeze like a mother who just used your middle name. But like a mom that's like the size of your dad, with the worldviews of that like one uncle. Either way, it's guaranteed that Marcus needs a change of pants. With that conversation, once it dies, several members decide it's time to turn in for the night. Tipper wants to take watch. Tipper wants to take watch. But Marcus vetoes the idea because he feels that she may try to have a good time, go see the cellar, and he just won't stand for that. Either way, she stays powered up during Clay's watch. She wakes Petra, anxious about the cellar. Petra's frustrated, not only because of the basement situation, but let's face it, it's been several days since that threesome happened. So anyway, Tipper and Petra decide to walk outside, and Tipper calls her out on her promiscuity, but like in a way to where she's seeking advice on how to connect with humans. Petra does the only thing that she knows and gives her the 101 on flirting, which includes winking, touching, and serving alcohol. Let's hope Tipper makes the distinction because it's going to get real awkward if they got to go to church. Feeling a bit more connected with Petra now, she asks to see her hand and promptly tries to stab her, but not like in a satisfiable way, but instead using her actual dagger. And she misses. And once that happens, she goes back to the tried and true way of revealing her secret by cutting her own skin. Starting to think that her secret is not actually that she's a robot, but that she's into self-mutilation. No judgment. I'm a former emo kid. We all had our fads. Petra is obviously shocked and doesn't fully understand it, like Ash in school. But unlike her, Petra actually accepts Tipper and her secret. And with that, everyone knows, except for Ash, which is probably for the best. Clay watches the conversation transpire, which seems creepy until you realize that Petra has done the same thing to him on multiple occasions. He tries to be stealthy, but like anyone wearing a bright pink ensemble, it proves difficult. So after that, they hear turrets sound off, but they soon stop, presumably ending with the life of whatever is now strewn across the farm. Clay tries to check it out, but doesn't see the source. Shortly after, it's time for Marcus to take his second watch. Clay informs him of the night's events, and they discuss what the fallout would be if Ash finds out about Tipper. But honestly, outside of somebody directly telling her, I don't think they got to worry about Ash using logic to sort that one out. During this conversation, though, they hear a chain rattle and a door open, and the turrets go off again. Then they quickly shut down. This is followed by screaming. Sounds ominous, but honestly, it could have been the carrot tea. Shit goes right through you. But the chase is on towards the source of the noise. As they get back to the back of the house, they see a large glowing ghoul standing over Hannah. Okay. Who warns them not to harm the creature, who turns out to be Henry, her former husband. Let me just boast for a second here, okay? I say a lot of random bullshit on this channel with the full expectation that I am 100% correct. And this may be the first time that that's proved to be true. But I'm not the only one, right? So Petra also said this, and so she must be having wavering feelings of fear and narcissistic gloating pride. And we end the show as Hannah continues to cry out for the Wastelanders not to hurt him as he attempts to end her life. So we had, this one was sort of the kickoff of Dark Week, right? So this was the Saturday before everything stopped. So this was their cliffhanger, like the other ones had last week or 2 weeks ago. So we don't really know what's going on. We know that the husband is attacking Hannah, and the group's sort of standing there deciding what to do. And we will find out tomorrow. That it'll pick up again tomorrow to figure out how that one ends. So super excited for that. So that is Vault 42. I'm going to take a drink before I start Legends. Yeah. Okay. So next up is Legends of Shawgal. We're on episode 10, Friends and Foes. We pick up here mid-battle because the last one ended on that cliffhanger. So shit is fully on the fan at this point. The Legends are still fighting the Necromancer. Rex somehow went backwards in time, his baby face shining through to the point where I fully expected a voice crack or two. But he still made it out better than most who were stuck in a hentai wrapped in tentacles outside the cave. Jinx, having experienced running from demons, managed to escape and end the Ursula-style attacks. And as a reward, she gets banished from the plane. Let's hope there's alcohol wherever she is, because there's nothing like going through withdrawal in an unfamiliar location. Reminds me of the time I spent in local county jail. Rex wants to continue his reading. Presumably, there is something more interesting in there than the slow, agonizing death of his friends. But instead, he watches the green and gold gypsy caravan heading their way. Rex can assume that these are followers of the Traveler. He's satisfied that they may help, and he goes back to reading. I mean, I'll say this. It takes talent and willpower to be actively less helpful in a fight than a banjo-wielding possum. Speaking of Daffodil, she forces the Necromancer to laugh so hard that he accidentally returns Jinx. So there you go, like 1,000% more helpful. Basically, in this fight, Rex was living binoculars. Rex eventually gathers that the approaching figures are, in fact, the Kerwedren. Sure. Yeah, Kerwedren. We'll go with that. A group of travelers known to worship the Traveler. Travelerites? Travelerians? I don't know. Not important. Anyways, they show up and start to help the Legends, assuming, I'm assuming they didn't see Rex's collection of body parts. Yeesh. One of the women ran straight up to the Necromancer and attacked, starting to help Oscar, who was in melee. Meanwhile, a man from the group healed the Littles, which was what we're calling the Gnomes and the Possum. It's a good thing they did show up, too, because as fate would have it, these Legends are apparently all nearsighted. None of them could hit the Necromancer, the single large target that they were trying to fight. Mata runs up to join the rogue, and Jinx comes back and starts to beat off the Necromancer. That's what I wrote. Just using her understanding of ki and the human body to really beat him good. Cool. This is followed up by Daffodil attempting to sack blast, but the Necromancer was able to pull out using the Dimension Door. And if anyone's counting, I believe that may have been my 100th sexual-based pun. So happy anniversary. I didn't get gifts. I didn't ask. Anyways, from his new location, the Necromancer gets off a fireball, causing the steam to consume the area, making it difficult to see. Mata runs up along with Oscar and Jinx. Necromancer then teleports away, but not before threatening to see them again in the future, like herpes. Most of the group is left frustrated while Frizz is ready to head to the cave. The Kerweden finish their arrival and introduce themselves. Rebecca and Dragos, the rogue and cleric of the Traveler. Rebecca scolds Rex for being a do-nothing, so I immediately like her. But they do invite the group to feed. They're trying to help me pronounce this stuff, and no, it is what it is. But they do invite the group to feast with them for the night. With Frizz's desire to march into the cave alone, the group informs the Legends that the engineers that had been working on the track had just disappeared, like guests at a Daffodil concert. This doesn't stop Frizz, who Leroy Jenkins himself into the cave looking for his relatives. And even after finding it all boarded up, pulls a typical curmudgeon old white guy believing a story with abundance of evidence is fake news. F.U. Kerweedendrin, how it's going to get worse as this goes on, follow and try to keep Frizz from moving forward. Eventually, Mata, Daffodil, and Rex find Frizz. A small argument ensues as Frizz wants to pull the boards down while the others are worried about what's beyond. Which I think is bullshit, right? Because he stood by while they have all had their sort of insane, reckless moments, but he gets denied the first time he attempts one. Just saying. Finally, Rex tells Frizz what he has heard so many times, right? So take a moment to think about it, sleep on it, they'll go in the morning. And Frizz not happy about this, but does accept it and march off to basically sleep on his own. Back at the camp, Jinx is feeling at home, as Jinx is familiar with this group, and it turns out that they are actually from the same area. Probably awkward for them, running into the former town drunk who has since become an international drunk of legend. Either way, she relishes in their company, including cooking Zlasco cod for all to enjoy. Daffodil will also help set up camp. Rex, of course, opts out, fearing he may chip a nail or use up too much of his inhaler. Instead, he goes to once again become unseen and oblivious, which I think makes him one step closer to being a god. A small party is underway as the two groups enjoy each other's company. Upset that Frizz was not partaking in the festivities, Jinx set out to find him and drag him back to try the fish. She eventually guilt trips him into it. He agrees to come try the fish, but says that he can't promise to be jovial, which is like Solo saying he can't promise to keep his minis clean. Like, yeah, no shit. During this, Mata speaks to Revika, the rogue. She asks what is known by them in regards to Mithril. Revika explains that she is aware that they got the short end of the stick. Short end, get it? Mata doesn't even catch the joke. Must be losing her edge. Meanwhile, Rex went to speak with Dragos about the Traveler. He immediately starts his psychobabble, and not surprisingly, Drago has concerns for the child. The insane little child. Drago tells Rex that the Traveler does not speak in whispers like Rex has heard. Hold on. All right. It doesn't speak in whispers like Jesus. I told you I got tested. It's fine. I'm okay. I don't even know where I'm at now. He doesn't speak in whispers like Rex has heard, right? But in fact, it's Vecna, who, although is not a god, was a very powerful lich who has his sights on the deification. This basically means that Rex is getting catfished. Let's hope he didn't give him the credit card info. I did that once and it took me forever to get my credit card back. But how was I supposed to know that Candy wasn't an actual model / doctor that only wanted to spend her wealth on me? Anyways, with all this information, feeling like he was putting the others he cares for in harm's way, Rex starts to walk off out of camp. Jinx notices this and quickly follows, throwing rocks at him to get his attention. She is slowly turning into the group's caretaker, the drunken mother, which may fill you with pity, but gives me comfort for some reason. They stop and speak for a moment. Rex is back still to Jinx. They both see a shadow cloak figure materialize beyond the light of Rex's book. Okay, God. I'm going to take another drink now. Thank you for creating that. Do you have a sound effect for that?
No, that was just me.
Oh, put it on loop. Oh, man. Cool. Sorry, guys. All right. So they see this light beyond Rex's book. The Traveler steps forward, only revealing a green cloak with gold trim. He speaks to Rex, confirming that it wasn't him, but that they could travel together to help him free himself of the darkness that is Vecna. I think it's going to be super funny when this also turns out to be Vecna coming in with that double catfish. Classic. At this time, both Jinx and Rex hear the whispers getting louder and louder. In an act of defiance, Rex crushes the eye he's been holding on to. The thousands of whispers are now hushed and feverish like a high school locker room of the dead. The voices knock Rex unconscious. Yeah, your god, your future god, was knocked out with sound, so don't pray too loudly. But just then, the Traveler's cloak turns into a doorway. Jinx quickly drags Rex's body through the door, healing him for 1 HP. Traveler kneels beside Rex, and although... We'll get through this, guys. Although unable to see it, he could feel the hand on his chest. The Traveler asks Rex if he accepts the invitation to travel with him, and he does. Jesus. This is revenge, I think. This is all Rex. This is him using his godly powers. And Taryn, who's flipping me the bird right now. All right. All right, back at the camp. Forget all that. Back at the camp, Oscar stands in while the children decorate him with ribbons. Daffodil approaches and is asked by Oscar to help inspect and repair a bum circuit. She doesn't really do much outside of tying a bow around it. So once again, this party's lack of a healer is going to come bite them in the ass. Or bleed them out. Or poison them. It's going to kill them, is what I'm saying. Daffodil then goes on to perform a song, which is honestly may have been one of her best. Which is like saying it's the most impressive garbage. Everyone enjoys the entertainment and the food before the night of well-needed rest. It should be noted, actually, that they actually make it full night of rest here. No fucking shadows and shit. They just slept. All right. The next morning, Frizz quickly gets up along with everyone else and heads straight to the cave. Rex, with a lower voice and a boost of confidence, takes the lead. Mans has a close encounter and comes out on the other side of the doorway, a new He-Man, right? So bow down and worship his idol. They pop off the wood planks so they can pass into the boarded up portion. Going deeper into the cave, the atmosphere changes from a moist, dank cave. I think that was a test. From a moist, dank cave to a more dry cave, from the more dry cave that they had at the beginning. It's like my throat right now. Rex and Daffodil notice whispers coming from deeper in the cave. Rex, I'm sure, had heart palpitations that made him rethink his new alpha presence. But it's quickly determined that these are real voices. Frizz is convinced are his relatives. Because if we've learned anything from gnomes, it's that they love to whisper. Moving forward, they start to notice hands affixed to the top of stalagmites and eyes on the tips of stalactites. Upon further investigation, it becomes obvious that these hands are small, like a child's, which is horrendous. But even Dianne is not that evil. Nope. She's determined to be the gnomish hands of Frizz's family. Sweet Jesus, that's dark. Frizz and Mata have a moment of mourning. Frizz screaming out that those must pay. Jesus. Daffodil tries to bury some of them, and then Jinx tells her not to worry, because not to bother, because there's like hundreds of them. Despite being in John Carpenter's Cave of Horrors, they press on. Rex, Jinx, and Shania sneak forward to see what all the whispering is. What they find will surely haunt them forever. Jordan, I'm sorry. Jesus. Let's see. What they find is an opening in the cave that holds a natural column. Hundreds of hands and eyes are affixed to it in a weird, twisted effigy. Surrounding the column are hundreds of pale figures staring at the column, whispering. I don't know. There's no fucking analogy for how fucked up that scene is. Rex notices the figures appear to be gnome-sized, little horrific humanoids acting insane, like they just stumbled upon a daycare of the damned. Daffodil lets Mata and Frizz know what's happening via Shania, and they decide to move forward to join their friends. And as they all get reunited, looking up into this horror, all of those figures' gazes turn towards them. And they probably think they're going to die, like I do right now. Oh, man. Okay. So that is Legend of Shao Kahn. So, again, not really, I mean, it's a cliffhanger in that we don't know what's going on. It's not mid-battle, of course, but you got to tune in Monday to figure out why the gnomes are like this. We have an idea, obviously, that they're sort of in line with Vecna, but we don't know how they're going to react to our party. So tune in Monday to see how it goes. I just saw what's going on in the other videos. Okay, cool. All right, so I will try to get through this last one without dying. It's going to be Realms of Ukador. And we are on chapter 18, Death from Above. Okay. Let me just adjust this here real fast. Okay, so we begin the show like a holiday at my childhood home. Full of dread, anxiety, and a little wetting of the pants. But this wasn't because of a broken family dynamic, but rather because of a large Rosarium dragon overhead. So it's more of a literal interpretation. The party watches in horror as the strange mechanical dragon flies towards the town. Right out of the gate, Kiwin tries to teleport onto the dragon. in what is her most dangerous attempt at gaining a friend. Like the time my mom made me have a pen pal with that random guy in prison. It was weird. He ended every letter with "I love you, son." Just weird. Kyriel begins casting Liam's tiny hut as a safe haven for the coming battle, a place that they can stay and do nothing, which makes me think we need to rebrand that spell and call it Rex's Nook. As the dragon swoops in, blasting the town with a beam of radiant energy, Carrick takes position to fire his crossbow, while Nofiko and Eclipse wait for their chance to strike without their ranged weapons. Balancing on the back of this dragon, hundreds of feet in the air, Kiwin sees steam coming out of the dragon and casts Destroy Water. I'm not saying this was meta, but Kiwin doesn't strike me as the type to have figured all that out on her own. You'll remember she was confused by snow at one point. Either way, it works. The dragon quickly begins losing altitude and crashes to the ground near the party. Eclipse is paralyzed for a moment as at the size of the beast, which is weird considering the dragon is just a 200 fucking foot wide laser pointer in the sky. You'd think he'd be going crazy. Meanwhile, Nofiko, less in shock, charges out to hit the dragon. Kiwin blasts it from above and Carrick fires. Kyriel maintains her position in the hut but sends out honkers to channel spells for her, which I think is a completely acceptable way to roast a goose for holiday dinner. As the dragon landed, it should be noted that how amazing this set piece was. Seriously, it was like a highlight among highlights. No real jokes about it outside of the fact that Solo is going to smell like a headshot for the next month. Anyways, the dragon's eyes shift from the radiant damage it was casting to fire. It blasts both Nofiko and the town. Eclipse, seeing the others in combat, charges in and up the dragon's back, attempting to stab it, and passes Kiwin, who's hastily attempting a retreat to the safety of Kyriel's tiny hut. The dragon then switches to lightning as Carrick gets a couple good shots in using a sharpshooter on the dragon like he's fucking Bret Hart, before turning into a fatherless lightning rod, which is the saddest kind. Kyriel then tries to fight lightning with lightning before quickly realizing that that euphemism is fucking stupid and makes no sense. It's not long, though, before the dragon asserts its influence, controlling the minds of several of the party members, which makes this lopsided fight now about as fair as Nofiko having to pick which personality she'd like to kill. Ironically, that personality she would choose is the clingy country bumpkin, as she's forced to attack Kiwin. But she does snap out of it and does manage to help Kiwin in the end. Like when you start dating your friend's ex, but then try to make them feel better by buying them a cake. Roland's the next one to take a shot at Kiwin, to which she acts confused, but at this point it seems like he'll take anyone's influence just to have a reason to make his sister bleed. Eclipse runs to the dragon's head and stabs it through the eye, but his weapons aren't really helping that much. Joey jumps down and turns his attention to Roland and Nofiko. Kiwin will eventually make it to the hut, but as she does, it gets penetrated from the bottom up. Kyriel will drop the bubble and attack the dragon directly with Shatter. The Shatter seems to break something within the dragon, and the mind-controlling effects are lost. This just enrages the dragon. And this is when shit gets bananas, which I'm going to take a break before I talk about.
Bananas.
All right. So, after that, Carrick falls unconscious, followed by Roland. Combine that with Nofiko, who fell helping Kiwin, and these guys are quickly going from the good buddies to the good acquaintances we vaguely remember. It doesn't help that the villagers aren't really helping out that much either, or like at all. It's like a town full of Rexes. Eclipse revives Nofiko, which I agree with, one healing potion for like 40 people. It's just a very efficient use. Kiwin heals Roland, meaning she must really want him at full strength so he can be manipulated to accidentally harming his sister. The battle devolves into confusion as the party tries to keep up each other standing through the deluge of dragon attacks, healing and falling. It's like the dragon was playing whack-a-mole, or like when you go camping and forget bug spray, like that. They only manage occasional strikes, and more of the town begins to burn. Gwendolyn does begin attacking from her tower, and after a powerful fireball from Kiwin and a barrage of magic missiles, the dragon does eventually begin to retreat. It was like a swarm of gnats that annoyed a horse long enough that it eventually just walked back to the barn. The party pulls themselves up out of the snow, all still somehow alive barely. They decide they must follow it and strike it down before it has a chance to fully heal. though they will need time to rest, or try to get as much rest as they can. But before that, they go and visit Hector, who, like Carrick's dad, seems to be a goner. And I have no idea why I took that unnecessary shot. I guess I'm just an asshole. But the sight of this makes Nafiko chase off towards Janice and her healing teapot. Surprisingly, Janice survived, which seems a bit unfair. It's like a rich person winning the lottery. But Nafiko asked to borrow the magical teapot to help out the town. And the party regroups at the Honka truck and are ready to rest and eventually give chase towards the mountains. So that's where that is. So now they are going to hike it back to essentially where they just came from, a different part of the mountain than where the Artificer's Tower was, but nevertheless back to where they came from to track down the mountain, or track down the dragon and try to kill it before it has a chance to heal. Although if they get a long rest, I assume it will too. So anyway, that's where we are with that. So tune in Wednesday to see if they catch up or what transpires, and that should be good. So that is it. That's all. That's the entire recap. Sorry about all the breaks and stuff. I'm slowly dying. But we will take a break here. Let me get some more to drink, and then we'll be back with our guests. So give us about 5-6 minutes, something like that. And go ahead and enter raffle in the chat to get into the mid-show giveaway, and we will see you in just a second.